Welcome in, everybody. This is going to be Cheat Code Weekly, where we talk about video game collecting and investing, a new segment that's going to be debuting on the channel. Every single week is what we hope to do. Myself here, Greg, of course, joined now by Henry, who
Yo,
some of
yo,
you
what's
guys might
up?
know if you're in the Discord or you are in the Facebook groups. Henry is quite active in all those. I'll let you talk a little bit more in just a second here, but this episode is going to be a bit of an introduction to how to or why to invest in video games. Kind of the notion that, yes, you can invest in video games. It's obviously a bigger hobby now than it's ever been, both buying, selling, dealers. Video game collecting, video game investing is here to stay. But
Yeah,
I'll let
it's
Henry
like,
share a bit about who he is, his experience, and why he has an opinion, I guess, worth listening to, and why he's on this channel.
yeah, cool. My name's Henry, and I collect and invest in sealed graded video games. I know that's a hot topic issue for a lot of people, but I believe in video game collecting. I've been around since Digipress and in the early 2000s. I sort of went away from that a little bit, but came back during COVID. So I'm pretty much a lifelong collector, but also, let me show off the game that I just recently got. This is the Super Mario Kart. Is first print 988 plus. This was the one on the eBay. It does not have the game pack thing, so there's no game pack over
A
here. So that's the
true
first
first
print.
print copy.
So that's the first print variant, and I spent around $30,000. So that's why I'd say collecting and investing. When you're spending that much money, you sort of have to have the mindset of, is it worth 30,000? And if it is, what's its potential for in the future? So those are the type of games that I collect. I try to collect main IP games that are in very high grades. I try to get the top of pops now because I believe there's no better time to get into sealed graded games than now. Because according to Carl Jobs, everything's down 97%. So
Yeah, I
you
mean,
buy
isn't that
low and
crazy, right?
you buy low and then you sell high. So
I know in the Discord, people were like, there was a bit of surprise how much that Mario Kart sold for on eBay, because that was the eBay copy that sold, what, 3 weeks ago now, I think it was?
yeah, it's about
And
three
people were
weeks.
speculating who bought it. Some people in the Discord were underbidders or not even close, because you shot it to 30,000 US, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because it was a
30,000.
Canadian
Yes.
auction, so I think it was like 44,000
Yeah, it was
CAD or
40
something.
something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like Canadian
yeah.
dollar is worthless. So
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
yeah, sorry.
An extra $15,000 charge if I was going to try and buy
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
But yeah, people were debating who bought that and stuff, and even I didn't know you were the one who bought it. You didn't
Yeah.
tell me until very recently. So
Yeah, I like to keep stuff close to the vest, but I would say that through this weekly segment that we're gonna do, I guess I'll open up a little bit more about what I have, what I collect, but also sort of the mindset of people like me who spend tens of thousands of dollars on games. It sounds crazy to some people, but this is I'm not the only person because there clearly was underbidder and underbidders below him. So
and that's what I can't, like, you fill in a lot of blanks that I can't, because while I can comment on these expensive sales, I can sit here and analyze if it's good, if it's bad, if it's whatever. I can't buy them. I do not
yeah,
have that amount of like money, period.
yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah.
so there's that thing where you can actually fill in the information of what does someone think who drops $30,000 on a video game. Are
Yeah,
you nuts? What are your thoughts? What are your
yeah.
how do you feel
Well,
safe even doing that, I guess.
well, first
That's
of
going to
all,
be
I am
topics.
nuts. I am
Yeah.
nuts. And then subscribe to Greg's Patreon so he can afford $30,000 in the future. How about that?
Yeah, we just need a few
That's a
more people
plug,
on
the
there,
Greg
right?
plug. Yeah, the
Just
Greg
need a
plug.
few more people on the Patreon at $50 a person.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, just a
50
few more.
bucks. Yeah, you need opening up to the floodgates are gonna come in, man.
It'll come. It'll come. But
Yeah,
that's Henry. That you guys know who I am. So this is going to be the weekly segment, and we're going to dive more into all this stuff. This is going to be more finance and collecting, serious high end side of it all coming together. We'll have guests, all that good stuff. But for today, intro to investing in video games. You mentioned it a little bit there, Carl Jobs WATA. I think for a lot of people, when they first hear investing in video games, that is the first place the mind goes, is to WATA games still.
yeah.
Um, WATA games is a scam. Where are we still with that in the hobby?
I mean, well, first of all, WATA was bought out by PSA, which is the largest card grading company in
Yeah,
the world.
collectors universe.
Collector's Universe, yeah, Collector's Universe, and they do Funko Pops. They're getting into comics. They do over 1 million cards grading a month. They're clearly just way above way above everyone else in card grading. And sports cards and TCG is the biggest pop culture collectible segment in our space, in the pop culture space. So you sort of got to follow them. They're the market leader. But anyway, so the WATA name still exists, but it's now owned by Collectors Universe BSA. The founder of WATA is no longer there ever since last year. There's new
Yeah, that's Dennis
leadership.
Kahn. People obviously are going to
Yeah,
know him from the Pawn Star segment. This is worth $1 million and all that stuff. So yeah,
yeah.
Dennis is no longer there.
Dennis no longer there. We got a new person in charge. Clearly, when you get bought up by a big company like that, they're gonna instill their policies onto what happens in the company. So, but people just sort of don't even care about that. Whenever they see a graded game, even if it's CGC or VGA, they get triggered. They're like, "Oh, WATA's a scam." It's like, bro, that's not even a WATA game.
That's what I was about to
So
say is like we can say all this stuff that they've been bought out. They changed people, personnel. It's I don't want to say completely a different company than they were before the buyout, but I would be surprised if they even retained like 10% of the employees based on what it
there's no
sounded like.
one. I know there's no one. They're based out of California. They were in Colorado. No one from Colorado is still there, except for maybe a few people.
Yeah,
So,
like literally there might be a handful of
clear.
people that made the transition.
Yeah, then that's it.
And yeah, I
But
don't think people care.
no,
Like
they don't. They just want to get angry because they feel like they blame graded games for increasing the price of everything, including loose cards, CIBs, all that stuff. And like the analogy I like to make about whether you collect loose cards or CIBs versus sealed and graded games, or like at least good condition graded games, is are you buying a Mercedes or are you buying a Hyundai, right? Like they're both, two of them are both cars. Mercedes is clearly more expensive than a Hyundai. And you can say, oh, yeah, so if Mercedes goes up in price, does a Hyundai go up in price? I don't know. And also, uh, they're two different clientele. The person who's buying Mercedes is not going to go and buy a Hyundai. Well, they may buy a Hyundai, but they're different clientele. You're trying to get the luxury aspect of driving Mercedes, the prestige and all that stuff, versus a Hyundai. When you're buying it, you're just trying to get to A and Z, right? You're
yeah,
trying to
the
get point A to
practicality, the
point
people who
Z.
are just looking to simply play a video game aren't that affected by the luxury high-end side of the market. And I know it's
Yeah,
been the narrative is that yes, they are, right? That's the narrative. Like Mario Kart,
yeah,
right? Mario 64, the most famous example, right? From the boom, everything, the 1.5 million. Mario Kart 64 cartridge is what, $25? It's like the same price it was for the past 20 years. Like
yeah.
it hasn't moved.
Well, yeah. So like those people, if they feel like grading is a complete scam, then they're probably not even watching your video. Or if they do watch your videos, then they're hate watching you, right? But for the people who can sort of understand that grading does have a place in collectibles, and they're okay with like comic grading or card grading, then I would say, why are video games any different? And they shouldn't be. Like, what's so special about video games that they must be held to like some pedestal white knight thing where you must free them from their
Yeah, yeah,
acrylic prison?
you can
And
only enjoy a
then,
game like it's meant to be played and that's it. Any other enjoyment is wrong.
hey man, comics are meant to be read. Pokemon cards are meant to be played. It's an actual TCG game, right? Like, it's no different than a game. Like, there's so, and I guess this is a topic for another discussion, but there's just so many. There's so many loose cards out there versus a sealed game that it's almost a travesty if someone opens up a sealed game that's not like abundant in case packs. It's just a completely different market. I mean, speaking about understanding the value and just how rare sealed games are. People like Marty O'Donnell from Halo, he made like all the music. He graded all the stuff through WATA recently. They made a post,
Really?
and yeah,
I don't
he
even think I
did.
saw that.
Yeah. So he signed down a label, but he had like his own personal Halo NFR copy. It was a 98 plus. Like he signed it. Like he graded all his stuff. the Pixel Game Squad people, they did a little podcasting that they've been grading for a while, and they're big YouTubers who do the whole resale business. But even they understand that if a game is sealed and it is a sought after IP on a great console like NES, they want to capture that value. Like
Yeah, I
if
think it was Riff
anything,
saying he might grade like all of his NES games now. It doesn't even matter because it's
yeah,
like it's a factory sealed. And he, I guess, speaking to the benefits of it, what he
yeah,
mentioned specifically was like, okay, you have these NES games on a shelf, might be worth anywhere from $1 to $1,000 each. Not even like super high end stuff, but it's like you can buy $1 protector for it if you want. Those aren't foolproof. Like they're malleable. You can crush those pretty easy. They're dollar for a reason. You can go up to acrylic for like $20, which is better. But if you're already going into that $20 price point, the amount of protection actually given by grading is it's bar none. Like you get the best form of protection, and that's not even like that's not me even just being a homer for grading here. It's
yeah.
bar none.
But it's also speaks to the fact that people like him. I know other big YouTubers. They also grade games, and even if you don't like graded games, you don't want to grade them. But if you see a factory sealed game that you can extract value from, at the very least, do that. You could just grade it and like, oh, I don't want any graded game, but then sell it for probably more than what you bought it for. Like there's no reason to, if you hate grading, then just use it as a different avenue to get more money. To
Well,
be
if
honest,
someone
that's
hates
it.
grading, the thing that I think is actually being more like people are starting to understand more that you can use it as a tool. So even if you
Yeah,
hate grading, utilize it and sell it to someone who's going to pay you too much money for it, right?
exactly.
Take the money from the idiots who are going to pay
Yeah,
you
yeah,
for
yeah.
graded items.
Me. Yeah,
Yeah,
take
right?
money from me. I'm one of the idiots. Yeah,
Yeah, like go
exactly.
grade your stuff and sell it to this idiot. Like he'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And more people are.
Only if it's good a good condition. No, I don't buy shit. I don't buy shit condition. So
Well, that's like I want to talk about too, right? For grading the value increase that it has. I do think people still see it as a money magic multiplier, where it's like, yeah, if something is in poor condition, grading's not going to do much to it.
no. You actually might as well just sell it raw. You get more money for it raw. So, for example, in sports cards, modern sports cards, or even TCG, if you grade a modern card and comes back a PSA 9, it's basically the same value as a raw card.
Yep.
So you have to get a PSA 10 for a modern card to make sense to even grade, right?
But
And
we see the
I
same
guess
thing with
for
Switch games at this point, basically.
yeah, it needs to be at least a 98 plus for you to make back your money from buying the game and grading costs. At
Yeah, I
least a
literally on
98
the
plus.
Discord, there's a free link in the description if you want to join the Discord. But on the Discord, there was a title purchased up like 9.8 A plus CGC modern titles. I think it was Mario RPG, Animal Crossing, Mario Party Superstars, I think was even a 9.9, and they were all like
Yeah.
$60 plus shipping. That's
Oh,
graded,
dude.
auction sold.
Yeah, and people are always like, "Oh, games are so expensive." Dude, $60 is not even the cost of grading and buying the game. It's like it's no better time to buy any graded game than now.
Yeah,
So
like if you genuinely want to get into the hobby, I'm not sure. I guess 2017 it might have been better, but like
yeah, sure, okay,
this is the
yeah,
best we've had in the past 5 years to
5
actually
years, yeah.
join, participate. You can collect, invest if that's what you want to do in sealed video games. And closely linked to all of this is that it is all sealed games for the most part. And with that, with the grading, you do get the benefit of authentication. And I know you can speak on this because I know you have an opinion here.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, oh, what how does WATA or CGC or VGA know that this thing is authentic? I bought it straight from the store, it's not resealed, or I bought it from like some mom and pop shop that it's not resealed and stuff. I'm like, all right, if you don't trust these grading companies, nothing can change your mind. But if you do, the people behind it have seen tens and hundreds of thousands of games. They have information from some of these manufacturers that manufacture these games. They know the seal types, how they're sealed. Yeah, I mean, I know Pixel Game Squad, they said something like, oh, someone can just invest in a machine and start resealing games. And it's like, no, if you've been in sealed games long enough, you can tell the difference in quality of the plastic between the old ones and the new ones. They're just not even the same. Like even someone like I can tell it, but for the really good reseals, That's where you basically go to
And that's
grading
even just
companies.
talking about like tactile methodology. That's like eyes and
Yeah,
fingers. Like we're
yeah.
not talking about any other kind of equipment that these companies are going to use when we're talking about games that are worth 1,000 plus.
These people have proprietary information. And if if people are CT scanning packs of cards now,
Yep.
they're probably X-raying this shit too. So
Yep.
I'm just saying, it's like, if you don't trust them, then you don't trust anyone. That's what it comes
The
down to.
thing is, right? So people will, like, we say that, right? You can trust the grading company. They know they're going to be right 99.99% of the time, let's say. Then you have the high profile examples, say the
Yeah,
Castlevania, what did the Rondo of
the
Blood
blood of
piece
Rondo or
works?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
something I didn't even like. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a repro. Like, you know what I mean? But the news story broke. That was the big thing. People see an example like that and immediately dismiss everything that has been done.
yeah. I
And
mean, it's bad. I can't say it's good. It probably was some like newbie guy who's like, oh, this is grade it, but I mean, it's not good. But every company makes mistakes. No company out there has 100% success rate in anything, whether you're manufacturing acrylic cases, cars, anything. Like no company is 100% accurate because people aren't 100% accurate all the time. So you can't just dismiss the 99.9% of the other good that's out there just with a few bad examples.
that's kind of how I see
That's
it too.
that's it.
Is like if your reputation is built on millions of orders and you have, one high profile example of a bad one, it's like a realistic weighting where, yeah, nothing's going to be perfect.
Yeah,
So you have to go into this expecting
yeah.
some issue.
Greg, do you want us to judge you by your worst time?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like,
Exactly.
I think
Right?
I've
Like
been pretty good for these
Greg at his
past.
worst versus the rest of the stuff
Yeah,
that
I
he's
think my
done. Right?
portfolio on YouTube is pretty decent here, but like you could probably grab a
Yeah.
few clips where, like,
Yeah, with the
might not
long
be
hair
getting.
and all that stuff. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There might be some
jeez.
questionable things said in those clips. And it's like, oh man, I
Exactly.
hope you take my whole portfolio of work and not just a single segment or a single that's
Sure.
internet in general when you see a Twitter clip and it's like, oh, that's my opinion of this thing now.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can ever do about that. But like as far as authentication and trust goes, I will buy a graded item every single time versus some random dude being like, "Oh no, this is legit." Like, trust me.
Yeah. I mean, it differentiates um the good copies from bad copies. When we're talking about games in general, right? There are
Yep.
probably millions of carts out there for popular titles like SMB1 or something like that. And then of that millions, there's probably like, I don't know, let's say 500,000 CIB copies in all sorts of conditions. And from that 500,000 CIB copies, there are only very few that are actually sealed, right? Even the oval or like all those variants, they're probably just only 100 or whatever. I don't know what the recent WATA pop report for SMB1 is, but
I think it's around maybe two,
that
300.
yeah, 2 300. I know Super Mario Bros. 3, which is supposedly dirt common, is 400 on
Yeah,
WATA
well,
pop
that is
report.
literally one of the most graded NES games. Period. Like it
Yeah,
is one of the
yeah,
most common games, and we're talking about a pop
yeah.
400.
But it's only 400 out of the millions of cards that you have out there, right? So that's why we collect sealed, because if it's a mass produced item, which video games are, I mean, cards are, all the TCG, Pokemon cards are, all those are mass produced, comics are. But the reason why people grade and why they want to collect the best of the best, and especially for video games, because they're sealed, they're just so few out there. And that's how you differentiate yourself from basically any other collector. When it comes down to collecting, like why does condition matter? It's because people want to, you know, show off, I guess,
No,
like
it is a big part of it, but
it's
like for
sometimes it's just an
myself,
ego trip. Sometimes it's just an ego trip. You're like, oh, I got something that you don't. And that's what fuels all these like prices to keep going up, because if you get more collectors in, some subset of that, they want the best of the best.
yeah, and that
So
is the collecting side of it. And I think so much of video games is still intertwined with gaming because the use case where Pokemon at
yeah,
this
of
point
course.
feels so separated from the TCG and the collectors. Like it
It
feels
really
like
is. Yeah.
two very distinct pockets. Where if you're
Yeah.
playing the game and stuff, you don't have to worry about anything over here on the investing side. You can just like buy some packs, play the game, do what you want to do. Whereas
Yeah.
gaming still feels like we're very close knit, where everyone has an opinion on everything. Where it's like you're not like part of this, to put it bluntly. Like if you're not chasing and collecting and like doing all this stuff, it is hard to understand. But that chase is what fuels the passion.
You know why? Because we're early. That's what it comes down to. I mean, VGA's been grading for what, 15 years or
Yeah, give or take.
whatever.
Yeah.
But when you talk about PSA and stuff, they're 90s, I think. They started grading 90s or
Yeah.
early
Late
2000s or
90s. I
something.
think late 90s.
Yeah, and then when you're talking about sports cards in general, it's been since the 1800s. So people have been collecting that for over 100 years. And video games really only became popular because of the NES. So give it like 40 years of collecting. So we're just so early in the space that you can get grails for prices that aren't even imaginable to other pop culture collectibles like Pokemon cards and sports cards, right? Like if you want the best of the best, let's say you want the best of the best sports card, a PSA 10 mantle, right? Even
Yeah.
that.
Best of the best.
It's pop 3 and none of them want to sell. So the best you could get was SGC 95. It's basically another grading company. It's a 9.5, not a 10. That sold for what, like 11 or 13 million dollars or something
Yeah, I
like
think I
that.
remember seeing that sale.
A year or two ago, compared to, let's say, SMB1 Hang Tab, right? The one that was bought from Alt, I think, for $2 million. And these are all like boom prices, clearly.
Yeah, I
But
know.
like,
That's the thing. You have to also like,
these are boom prices. This is 2021 crazy prices, right? But even that disparity, like that $11 million was past 2021. I think it was like 2023. So
yeah, I
that's
do
not
too.
even the highest price.
Yeah.
That $2 million Mario that Jobs talks about, that was during basically the height of video game prices, right? And that's only $2 million compared to Mantle. So like we're just so early that if this ever does become something, there's just so much delta to go up. And I mean, this is probably could be a different discussion in the future, but why do we, at least why do I feel confident in games as a collectible category, is that it's just so prevalent in culture in people's lives nowadays that I just don't see, like in the future when people become older and want to collect nostalgic pieces, why they wouldn't want games.
And then to end off the discussion, every week we're going to do a little segment called Buy, Sell, Hold, where we talk about either a game or a little section of games where we think you should either buy, sell, or hold them. And of course, for the inaugural episode, what other game except for Mario Bros. 1? So we'll start off with the Oval. A 9.4 A plus is somewhere in the 10 to 15,000 range, I think, right now for an Oval.
Yep.
What's your take as someone who can actually, I can't buy it. So for me, I think it's decent value. I'm curious what you think.
As a 9.4 A plus oval, if I had it already, I would hold. I
Okay.
wouldn't buy more because I mean, there are more out there at that at that condition. Like if I were it from my perspective, but I chase top stuff, right? So I would want like a 9.8 or something like
I
that.
think when we
But
go to 9.8, we're talking like 40, 50, even for an oval. It might have even been more in the last sale.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that being like a double up in the future. But a 9.4, if I had it, I would hold. And then if I didn't have it and wanted to buy it, I'd try to get it near the 10 range. Because I think in the future,
So if you didn't have one, would you prioritize buying one at this point?
yes, I would. Because that's the quintessential game. I mean, like you have to, right?
I don't know.
You have to have it. I mean, you just need to sell all that crap in the background.
Hey, that's good merchandise back there.
Oh, okay. Your Pokemon boxes. Yeah, they're worth something now. So
those are like like back here.
Yeah, those
Those are like
Pokemon
empty.
boxes.
They aren't even
Oh,
sealed.
oh my god! All right, no, all right. No, you gotta sell your house or something. I don't know.
Like cut, like.
Oh, sorry.
So I will try. Like my goal is to try and get a 9.0. 9.0 A or A plus Mario Bros. Oval. I think I can get in around 810. That's kind of my goal. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a 2025 goal. I can make one of those YouTube series where it's like my journey to sealed Mario.
Yeah. Maybe you should. You sell more stuff through Monty.
Yeah, well, pretty much, right? So
Yeah.
then going into round seal, which I think is the other major variant,
Yeah.
that's more in the 30,000 range, I think, even for like a 9. They don't
Yeah.
come up.
That's the one without the hang tab,
Yeah,
right?
without hang tab. This is just round seal, no hang tab. So, 7th,
For
8th print.
for me, I wouldn't buy it
Like,
because yeah, you know why? Because it feels like I'm so close to a hang tab, but not. I'd
yeah, so
rather
you
buy the
don't even
oval.
like you don't even care about the
I
round
would
seal.
rather just buy the oval. Yeah, no, I don't. I wouldn't want it
Like save the
personally.
money and buy the oval.
Yeah, I'd save the money and buy the oval. I because it's
9.2,
just it's so close to the hang tab, but
let's
it's
say like a
not.
9.0 A plus, 9.2, 9.0 A plus round versus 9698 oval.
Yeah, I'd rather have 9698 oval. Easy.
All right, fair
Yeah,
enough. Because I know
yeah.
that the topic of variants and stuff always comes up as to like, which one should you go after? Super high. I think it was Mike Tyson's Punch Out, the 9.8 A plus sold for like more than the 9.6 A plus round. Our oval sold for more than round.
Yeah, you know what that is. I would rather have the round in that case. But okay, the reason why I didn't want the Super Mario Bros. One round is because I'm talking about the variant without the hang tab, the
Yep.
round without the hang tab. I wouldn't want that one because you're so close to the hang tab, but not. So I'd rather just have the oval. But in the case of Mario, in the case of Mike Tyson's Punch Out, I would clearly rather have the round than oval. And I think that whoever bought the oval probably was a new buyer. To be honest, they just don't know the variants. And they just
Okay.
bought the grade.
Interesting. So then we
Yeah,
talk about hang tab copies. They are, what's the last hang tab? A 7.0 for 30,000, I
yeah,
think.
7.8. Yeah.
Like a
I
low
mean,
grade copy still
a
pushing tens
low
of
grade
thousands of
copy.
dollars. Is the
Yeah,
hang tab worth that much to have?
if it was this, okay,
Because
if it
that's a
was the
bad
same
copy.
price, yeah, it's not good. But if it was the same price as the 9698 oval, I actually might go for the oval. I actually might go for the oval
That's what
because
I was
the
gonna
7.0
say.
is not great.
It's just kind of beat.
Yeah, you have the hang tab. It's great, but I think grade like if we're gonna get new entrants into the hobby, which our hope is that we do, the first thing that people are gonna look at is the grade, right? And as evidenced by that Mike Tyson, the
Yep.
oval and the round sale.
Bigger
So
number, better game.
sometimes and then sometimes they even sell for more than the actual rare variant. So I would rather have the 98,
Do you think we'll get to a
9698.
point where it's like comics where you have like a point 0.5 copy hang tab of Mario selling for tens of thousands? Because that's, like what the future could be, where the variants are so rare that you have a 7.0 hang tab. That's incredible. It's 150K.
Uh, yeah. The only way we get there is if you know the Grail of all Grail copies sells for like $10 million, which is the gloss sticker 94A plus plus Super Mario
Yeah.
Bros. One.
Really quick
Yeah.
before we end, then, what's that worth right now? The sticker seal.
If it came up at auction, easy 1 mil at least. That's the floor.
Yeah,
It
I
could
agree
it
with
could
you
go up
fully.
more. We know that the whales are still out there. We can name some names. I don't know if we want to name him now, but he's still buying, he's still lurking, and I feel like if that thing came up, he has unlimited money, so he just keep pushing it.
I feel like they're like, yeah, there are just simply multi millionaires that we know are still watching this market who are still actively buying grails, be it Pokemons or Mario's, that if it came up, like a million's a floor.
Yeah,
And I
floor
think a
easy.
million's cheap.
Says a person who can't even buy a 948 plus. Jeez.
Yeah, the guy with empty boxes back here worth
Oh
like
my
30
god.
bucks.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Maybe you
though.
should start
That'll do
selling
it.
some stuff now.
Yeah. That'll do it for the first episode. Like and subscribe. Leave comments down below. Viewer questions, viewer answers will absolutely be something we do in the future. So definitely put them
Yeah.
in there. And hope you guys enjoyed this. And we'll see you next week.